that brings me to Dak Prescott because he's the next one. We did a post over the weekend, who's due to get paid next? And it dovetails with the concept from last month or earlier this month. It's all starting to kind of blur together as to who's going to be the first one to get to $60 million per year. Because no one got past 55, 55 is now the high watermark for a year. You've got three guys caught at the same number. Who's going to get to 60? Is it going to be Dak? Is it going to be somebody else? But Dak's up next to get paid. Now the question is, when are the Cowboys going to pay him? When are they going to say uncle or Mate, as they say in the Bear? It's funny. One of the reasons I love the Bear, they've got their own little world of speaking in terms, and you have to crack the code from the outside. The way they've been communicating among each other forever kind of bubbles up into the show. That is a hell of a digression. But we were watching the episode last night where Richie is saying to Fax, say Mate, which is basically saying uncle. And Jill's like, what the hell is Mate? It's like, well, I never heard that before, but it's kind of like probably their own little way of speaking. Anyway, I have no idea. I have no idea how I ended up down that path. So I'm going to try to pull myself back. Oh, they're trying to get the Cowboys to say Mate and pay Dak Prescott. And it really is fascinating to watch this play out because I wrote something about this earlier today. And look, hey, Jerry Jones has said it himself, and he said it while testifying at the Sunday Ticket trial. He just wants to be interesting. And he is definitely interesting. And as we said back in March, when the Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons contracts were keeping the Cowboys from going all in the usual poker sense. We're all in. Well, you can't even begin to go all in with free agents who might help your team get better if you can't get past square one with Dak, CeeDee, and Micah because, as I surmised at the time, when it comes to handling their great young talent and paying them accordingly, the Cowboys are cheap, short-sighted, and not as smart as they think they are. That's still lingering. Here we are, 6 months later, and none of those three guys have gotten new contracts. One of the big stories over the weekend, the Cowboys have made new proposals to CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. That was our biggest story from a traffic standpoint by far for the weekend because we're all waiting. When are they going to pay the players who need to be paid? When are they going to do it? What's the holdup? Everybody else is signing their players. CeeDee Lamb's held out. Dak Prescott, we know what he's worth. We know what his contract says. We know what the stakes are here. He can become a free agent next year, unfettered, unrestricted, no way to franchise tag him. What's going on? And it's just more foot drag and excuse making. I saw over the weekend, there was a little snippet that made its way onto a tweet from someone who works for the Cowboys website, which means he works for the Cowboys. It's not pejorative. It's a fact. His paycheck is signed by Jerry Jones. He was characterizing something Jerry Jones said about the Sunday Ticket verdict that made me think that, man, this whole thing about trying to make the players, pay for the verdict, they're going to start this now. They're going to start trying to claw back revenue from the salary cap formula now to create a fund to help finance the $14.1 billion they may eventually have to pay to resolve the Sunday Ticket case. And then I saw Clarence Hill's treatment of Jerry Jones' comments, more comprehensive, more details. And I looked at it and I said, this is just another thing that Jerry is using to justify being cheap, not knowing what the Sunday Ticket judgment outcome and impact will be on the salary cap. So we got to be careful. We don't know what's going to happen with the cap, so we got to be careful. Jerry Jones boasted about how good he is at looking around corners. Well, if he was that good at looking around corners, he would have seen the Sunday Ticket verdict coming, and he would have taken steps to avoid it or just settle the case. So Dak, CeeDee, Micah, they keep dragging their feet. They keep making excuses, and fundamentally, they are cheap. Fundamentally, they think that there is inherent value in wearing that silver helmet with the blue star on the side of it, and the players should do the team a favor. And this whole nonsense, and I know Sims and I have argued about it in the past, and I apologize while I multitask here. I got a text, and I got to make sure that it is not anything important, and it's not. But Sims and I have argued about this idea that the players need to not be too greedy. They need to not take too much of the cap. And I reject all that. It's for the players to get as much money as they can while they can. They have very limited bites at the apple. They have very few opportunities to get paid. The owners are always getting paid. And this idea that you have to leave money behind, there has to be a competitive team, I think this is just part of the way that the owners manipulate the media and in turn the fans to get behind the laundry and not behind the players. Because I reject the idea that paying your best players top dollar keeps your team from being as good as it can be. Now, that's not to say that you should make bad decisions about who you're going to pay. It's one thing to pay Patrick Mahomes. It's another thing to commit 5 years, fully guaranteed, $46 million per year to Deshaun Watson. And 1 year he misses 11 games due to suspension. Another year he misses 11 games due to injury. And when he plays, he's not the guy that he used to be. That's a bad decision on how you allocate your resources. But the best players, and we all know who the best players are, they need to fight to get paid. And what the Cowboys are doing is trying to come up with any reason under the sun to not pay Dak as much as Dak deserves, to not pay CeeDee Lamb as much as he deserves, and to avoid paying Micah Parsons as long as possible. And what's going to happen is they're eventually going to say Matei. They're eventually going to pay more than they want to pay. Why not just be done with it now? Why do you sit around and wait for someone to say, fine, I'll just take whatever you're willing to give me? Because that strategy hasn't worked in the past. We'll see if it works moving forward. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.